Have you ever seen some really beautiful furniture pieces, like bedside table that just had beautiful, beautiful grains? Today we are going to be talking about wood preparation, which is the critical step in making sure that you get the grains that you wanted on your furniture piece. So wood preparation is basically the most critical step in woodwork before you start anything else. Before anything is cut, wood has to be prepared. The first thing you do is to inspect and select the timber that you want to use. And this is a specific place where we make sure that we buy all the timbers that are straight, that have no cracks, that have no twists, to just make sure that the integrity of the furniture at the end looks exactly how the client wanted. We also inspect the grains, assuming a client said they wanted to see a lot of grains on their tabletop. This is a space where this is a step in where we choose the grains and what part of that timber is going to be top and what part is going to be bottom. Grains that I want the furniture to have. Look at this, this is just so beautiful. And this is mango wood. The next thing after you have selected the timber is to cut it, and to cut it in the pieces, the sizes of the pieces that you need. Assuming you're making a table, let's say a dining table, and this dining table is about 240 centimeters by 100 centimeters, then you need to cut timber in the sizes that you need. The most important thing to note in this step is to cut timber, allowing space for anything, for any differences that might occur, for any changes that might occur, for any changes that might need to be done. So when you're cutting the wood, you will not cut exactly 240 by 90. You will give it maybe another extra 10 centimeters all around. So you'll probably cut 250 or 260 by 120, just so that you have a little bit of playing space, just in case you need to do anything. The next thing to do after you have cut the pieces of wood is to identify which part will be top. So how do you identify this? You look at the grains. If you look at the timber, and if it has any knots, if it has any, sometimes timber has wounds, or rather some sort of like places that have almost like rotten. So you identify and say this rotten part is going to be on the bottom side of this table, not on the top. So you look at the most smoothest, the ones that has the beautiful grains, the one that has no wounds, and that becomes your top. So when we are looking at what is the face of the furniture, we try to avoid such. This is what I was calling like a rotten wound, knots like this. The next thing to do after you have cut these pieces of wood is not to immediately start working on the pieces or to immediately start joining the pieces, is to acclimatize the timber. What this means is that after you've cut these pieces of wood that you will be requiring for whatever project it is that you're doing, you need to allow it to be able to acclimatize to the temperature in your workshop, the humidity in your workshop. And that means you just basically air it in the workshop for about maybe a week, just so that you can avoid twists, you can avoid warps in future, because wood temperature changes the reaction of wood. So just make sure that from the time you bring it from the yard to the time that you work on it, you've cut it and split it in the sizes that you need, and then you allow it to just sit in your workshop for about 1 week or 2 weeks. And that is a very important step in woodwork, just so that you can avoid every warp and every twist that can happen in future. This process of wood preparation takes any time from maybe 2 days to 4 days, depending on the pieces of furniture that you're making. But the most important thing that you need to note when you're doing wood preparation is to always measure as many times as possible before you cut, because you don't want to cut timber and you've cut shorter than the pieces of furniture that you needed to make. So we say measure twice and cut once. That's the most important thing to remember in wood preparation.